If you're struggling with your guitar tone, whether you're playing through preamp pedals or any kind of digital platform, I have a guaranteed fix for you. Let's get started. So with the growing popularity of both preamp pedals and digital platforms, as much as we like those things, there's still growing pains associated with those for a lot of us. I mean, there's so many options for us regarding how we hook these things up. You know, I mean, we can go direct with them. We can take a preamp pedal and pair it with a digital modeler and use it for an IR loader and some effects and switching and stuff like that. We can use solid state power amps with our real cabs. And, you know, all that stuff is really good. And I get why people like the options and like to choose what works best for them, especially if they're on a budget or if they're traveling or whatever. But I'm going to tell you something that might be a little bit divisive. There actually is, even though there's many ways to hook these things up, there actually is one way that is the guaranteed best way to do it. And that is using a tube power amp with the real cab, especially if you want to have that type of setup. Now, you can go direct to front of house and use a studio capture or an IR and get great sound out of it. I do it all the time down here and it is awesome. You know, it sounds really good and everything. But I'm directing a lot of this towards guys who I see are traveling or practicing or gigging or whatever with a digital platform or a preamp pedal, and they're using a solid state power amp and a real cab, or they're using some sort of effects unit with an IR loader in it and just going direct with it. Now, those are fine ways of doing it, but a lot of times these same guys that use either one of these options, especially with their preamp pedals, they're always saying, yeah, it sounds okay. It gets me through the gig, and you know, I like it. It's easy, it's affordable, it's small and lightweight and all that kind of crap, but it doesn't really sound all that great. It just sounds good enough to do the job. Well, I'm here to tell you today, there's actually a way to have everything you want, including a small, lightweight rig that doesn't take up a lot of room and doesn't weigh a lot. It's very, very affordable, easy to set up, but there's no compromises with it at all. You're going to get the best tone and feel that you can get, whether you're playing through digital platforms or preamp pedals. Okay, so as you can see here, I have the Nano Cortex hooked up to the KSR PA50. There are my settings. I'll go over those in a second here. And on the app, as you can see, I have the JEL50DI boosted running through it here on the Nano Cortex. And so I'll play a couple riffs for you and show you how I dialed in the KSR PA50, and I'll show you two different ways you can get the sound that you want out of this unit. So again, here are the settings. So let's play a couple riffs and then go over the settings. That sounds freaking amazing. And what's nice too is I have the cab in the room and I got that boom, that freaking thump and all that awesome stuff. So I got that great feel, you know, backing up all the nasty tones that I'm playing through and the nasty riffs. I mean, you got that thump to back it up and it just feels thunderous. It's just amazing. And I also want to add the feel is definitely better when you're playing through a power section. It really is. There's some magic there that I can't describe, but it just feels amazing. A lot more authority when you have that really nice thump in the room coming from the cab in the power section. So let's dial in the power section here and I'll show you what I did. So as you can see, I got the top pretty high, but there's a lot of usable room on this knob. You know, I mean, if I'll just dial in some stuff and you'll see what I'm talking about. So that sounds good, but I want some more bite. I want some more top end. I want it to sit in a mix better. So because of the usable space on the knob, I can really crank this pretty high before it gets too out of control. Dude, I can't even explain what I'm experiencing here. I mean, in the room, it is just absolutely amazing. This little teeny modeler now sounds like a real tube amp. I mean, it just sounds incredible. Let me go back to the camera. So you have the bottom. This thing has a ton of great punch in low end, so I don't need to crank the low end on this. And then you have the negative feedback. And so basically, when you go counterclockwise, it gets more bite, and when you go clockwise, it gets a little rounder. So I'll turn that for you now. So I think that's the sweet spot. Let me go back to the camera. I keep switching in the wrong spots here. So I think that's the sweet spot, because it can get a little too much depending on the capture that you're playing if you turn it, you know, all the way this way. But right around here, between probably 9 and 11 o'clock, you got the sweet spot area with this, and it just sounds freaking awesome. It's got that nice bite to it, and it's subtle but definitely noticeable. And I really think that's a good way to go. Now, another way you can do it is Kyle put this hi-fi switch on here, which adds some volume to it. So I'm going to turn the master down and to attenuate for that. But it kind of handles that top end for you and gives you a little bit of that. But I have to adjust the top end and the bottom a little bit after I do that. So that sounds really good as well. So, I mean, depending on your taste, you're going to pick one of the settings over the other. I could go either way, but just to keep things purist here, I'm going to go ahead and turn the switch back down to bypass that. Nothing wrong with having it. It's just, you know, we all have different taste. And then I'll adjust the master volume accordingly here. And let's go back to that and fine tune that. That sounds freaking amazing. So either way you go with that switch, if you go with the hi-fi, or you just turn the hi-fi off, just make the adjustments on the power section accordingly. So don't just leave it here and then go, oh, I'll just turn on the hi-fi. It's going to be too much top end and not enough low end. So you'll have to make some adjustments, but there are some really good fine-tuning adjustments available for you on this power amp, and it just sounds incredible. So now let's do a quick comparison between running this Nano Cortex through the power section and the real cab and the real mics and an IR that I made of this very cab with these very mics. There's going to be a slight difference voicing wise between them because I made this IR months ago with different, you know, mic settings. It was probably like a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch in a different spot. So, but what we're going after here is not a comparison between, you know, that IR and this as far as accuracy goes. We're going for the difference between an IR in general and going through a power section, you know, and a real cab. So as you can see on the app, you'll see when I switch between them, because I'll have, right now the cab is off, but you'll see me activate the cab and I'll switch to the direct input to my mixer so you can hear the difference between them. So let's go ahead and do that now. So both of them sounded really good, right? I mean, I made a good impulse response. It sounds really good, but in general, impulse responses, no matter who makes them or how much you spent on them, are never going to really compare to the real thing, a power section and a real cab. They're just not going to compare to that. I mean, they'll give you the tone that you're looking for in a certain way, but there's things missing. There's that thump missing, and there's that mojo. I don't know what to call it. I'll just call it mojo. That's missing in an IR. Again, no matter who makes it and how much you spend on it. I mean, the highest quality IRs out there cannot compare to the real thing. So for guys who are using impulse responses and are just like, it's just not there yet, or I'm just missing something. Well, what's missing is something like the KSR PA50 and a real cab. So if you see the value in that and you hear where I'm coming from with that, you don't have to carry a giant power amp with you that weighs 100 pounds and all this other stuff. I mean, this thing weighs 13 pounds. Look at the size of it in comparison to this teeny little Nano Cortex. It's not that much bigger as far as the front of it goes. Now, yeah, it goes back a little ways. It's about the size of a loaf of bread, you know, and again, it weighs 13 pounds and it's got a handle on it. You can easily carry it around and hook it up. It's very, very easy to carry around. It's very portable and it's affordable. And I think this thing made a huge difference in the sound. And now when you're on stage, you can have your cab with you and have that really nice fullness and that thump on stage with you as well, whether you're at practice in your own personal practice space or you're on an actual stage playing in front of people. I mean, this is a really good option for you. And I am 100% convinced that this concept really does work. So now let's move on to one of the Rev preamp pedals and see how they sound with this same setup. All right, so now I have the Rev purple preamp pedal going into the KSR, and I'm also running it through my Line 6 HX effects for just effects only. And I think this would be kind of an ideal setup for somebody that wants a more compact, lighter travel rig that sounds really good. They'd use an effects processor like I'm using right now and just the pedal. And now I've used this pedal before. I've actually reviewed their pedals when they came out. I think it was about 3 weeks ago or something like that. I liked both pedals very much. I thought they were really good. And when I did the review, I just ran them through my HX effects with an IR. And I thought, yeah, they sound really good. And I picked the red pedal over the purple. I thought the red sounded a little thicker, a little fuller, and I liked it a little better. Not saying I didn't like the purple, I just preferred the red. But for this video, I'm going to do the purple, and when I sound checked it last night when I was setting everything up, I was blown away at how much more I liked the purple pedal after I plugged it into the PA50. I mean, those tubes and that power section just warmed it up, filled it up, made it a lot thicker and fuller and meaner. And you're not going to believe the tone I'm getting out of this pedal now. And it just sounds incredible. And the thump I'm getting from the cab behind me is just, it's just amazing. So this little pedal, look at it, little dinky pedal, because of this power section, sounds absolutely thunderous. So let's listen to it now. Sounds way better than I remembered it. And again, I liked it, but now I freaking love it. I could totally go on stage with this right now and be 100% happy with everything. It just sounds absolutely incredible. And the big difference is the power section that the PA50 is giving me. Let's go ahead and dial in the power amp for this pedal now. I mean, these are the same settings that I used on the Nano Cortex, which I think sounds really good. But let's switch to the hi-fi and see what we can get out of that now. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to that. I'm going to turn the top and bottom, put them just back to neutral, and adjust the master accordingly. And let's fine tune this now. If you ask me, that sounds amazing. Like I said earlier, you could go either way, but it's the nuance. It's those fine-tuning little things that all of us weirdo guitar players like, and this power section has that for us. So you can really fine-tune a lot of your gear with this power section. I love the fact that he has not only the negative feedback knob, but that hi-fi switch too. It's not a gimmick. It actually does really work, and it does a great job. So whatever frequencies Kyle chose to boost and kind of sculpt with that switch, I mean, he chose the right ones. It really does make a big difference in a good way. It sounds awesome. So let me do a couple more riffs and just see if I need to fine-tune anything else, and then we'll go ahead and do a full mix, and then you can hear some of the effects I'm using on the HX effects. That sounds great. So anywhere I turned the knobs, everything, you know, was pretty subtle, but there's definitely some noticeable differences. I ended up taking the negative feedback down to just past 9 o'clock, and it just added that little extra bite I was looking for. These pedals are great, but they could be a tad bit dark, so you can add a little more bite to them if you want. And by the way, I'm boosting it with the Horizon drive inside the Line 6 HX effects, so just in case you were wondering what I was boosting it with. So let's do a mix and see how good it sounds in a mix. Well, I hope you liked the mix. That was a one-take mix because I got to get out of here. I got to go wash trucks tonight. Anyways, I thought it sounded amazing. The feel was really good. And again, here are the settings, you know, on the pedal and on the power amp. So I used the hi-fi on this one and just made some minor adjustments to the power section here and got it to sound the way I needed it to. And I had to adjust the master a little bit for the mix to, you know, let it sit in the mix properly. But what a huge difference this power section made with this pedal and with the Nano Cortex. I mean, it just sounds incredible. So like I said earlier, if you're happy with the IRs that you're using and all that, I get it. You know, I mean, I've used IRs for years as well, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But this is mainly targeted at people who are just like, ah, man, the IRs are great, but I just wish I had that little bit of whatever it is that's missing. Or the other guys that are using solid state power amps in real cabs, and they're saying the same thing, like there's something missing. My power section's a little bit anemic, the feel isn't really that good, and for some reason I just can't really gel with this sound. It's convenient and I appreciate the fact that I can use this gear and travel with it, but I wish it was a little bit better. Here's your solution right here. Honestly, take a good look at this. This is your solution right here. It really is. And it's only 13 pounds. It's got a handle on it. It's affordable. It's portable. And it's all tubes. There's nothing fake in there. There's no processing, you know, as far as like digital processing or anything like that. It's all real shit. And when you hook your digital platforms or your preamp pedals up to this and run those into your cab, you're going to be absolutely floored at the difference in how much better everything sounds. It's not just cork sniffing here that I'm talking about. It is real. It's an absolute difference, and it's very obvious between this power amp and any other IR or solid state power amp that you're going to use. Use tubes, man. And one of the biggest gripes people have about using tube amps is either they're too expensive, too heavy, or too big, or all three. And now Kyle Rhodes from KSR solved that problem for you by making this. I mean, this thing's incredible. And this video is not sponsored by KSR at all. I bought this thing because I'm that passionate about this. It's that good. It's worth buying. It's worth having. And I'll be doing more episodes with this product in upcoming, you know, episodes here. And I bought it so that I can give you guys a total real demonstration of this. And the only thing that was partially sponsored in this video was the Nano Cortex. Sweetwater sent that to me. I get to keep it, and I'm doing other videos of the product for you guys as I promised to them. And you know, Rev sent me this pedal, you know, and they sent me the other red one as well. And they're both excellent pedals. But if you want to get the most out of your gear and get the best sound out of your gear, this is definitely the best way to do it. I love IRs. I make them, I sell them, they're amazing, but nothing compares to the real thing. I don't care how much money you spend on your IRs and how good they are. They're never going to stack up to this. I mean, this is it. And I keep sounding like a broken record here. I'm not trying to rag on impulse responses or anything like that, but I'm just telling you, for the guys who just want that no compromise tone for their guitar rigs, this is it right here, especially if you're going digital or if you're using preamps. This power amp definitely adds all the reality and all the mojo that you're looking for back into your digital platform rigs or your preamp pedal rigs. Well, I hope you guys got something out of this video. And for those of you who have a hybrid rig such as this, I say hybrid because we're blending digital with tubes, you know. For those of you who've done that, please sound off in the comments section regarding your experience with that and how much you love it as well. Well, to everyone who's been purchasing my Quad Cortex, TONEX, and KEMPER preset and profile packs on my website, linked below, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you, and I hope I gave you guys a really good way to make them sound even better. And to all my Patreon supporters and subscribers, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys. And if you're new to the channel and you like what I do here, feel free to subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I either go live or come out with another episode. Well, I got a lot more coming up for you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.